Yes, they say. Thought find out. I have one conversation that the art of thinking beyond the audience. And today I have Mas Gals. He's a former licensed financial advisor turned author who spent over 2 decades investing and sitting across the table from thousands of people, from new graduates to new retirees. And of course, the author of the book Not Born Rich, other than Mr. John D. Romero. Welcome, welcome on
Thank you, thank you. Happy to be here.
yes, welcome on Abstract As Mr. John. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. As Daniel said, I'm ex-financial advisor. I've decided to walk away from the financial services industry due to frustration of, I guess, just not caring about the little person, right? The average hardworking person on planet Earth that doesn't make over $150,000 a year, which is all these companies' target demographic. Somebody who has $100,000 to invest into asset management, where they charge a fee. And after doing that for almost 20 years, I'm like, you know what? I want to do something meaningful for people that need help the most that everybody ignores. So I decided to step away from the industry and get rid of my licenses from a very successful career to become an author and hopefully a public speaker, and gets my mission out there to work with the majority of people on planet Earth that are not born rich.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Mr. John, thank you for empowering us. So today, let's talk about when I learned about money and people after 2 decades sitting across the table for real individuals, families, and business owners. So let's talk about the first lie. When new clients sit across from you, what is the most common untruth, half truth, or the story they tell themselves about money that you have to gently dismantle?
A lot of it has to do with conditioning from parents or grandparents. Debt is bad, right? Like, oh, I want to
Mhm.
buy a car, I have to pay it off in full. Debt is bad. Debt is the secret to building wealth. You cannot have money and leverage it without debt. And the most common one is on a home, for example. Most people won't be able to buy a home if they cannot take out a loan. So it's the same thing applies to retirement, right? And
Mhm.
assets, that if you really want to gain access to asset classes, a lot of times debts are required or leverage. And so, really, just getting people out of the mindset of small time thinking, as I call it, where I can't do it, I don't make enough money, what do I know about investing? And I have to tell people, you've been conditioned to believe that it's difficult so that you don't do it. And the system, the puppet masters, the rich have made it that way, so you feel like you need them and you can't do it on your own, when it's the exact opposite. Everybody with an income and a desire to have a great life can do it.
A great life indeed. So, Mr. John, the emotional catalyst. What is the most frequent emotional event, not a financial one, that finally drives people to seek professional help?
Honestly, it's kind of sad. When people have that realization, it's too late. Most people start retirement planning after age 50. Okay. And that's kind of my mission, is everyone at some point is going to realize that they need money because it's a tool. Never do I think people should make money their God or their end all be all. But at some point in people's lives, they realize that they need it for medication, medical treatment, vacations with family, helping out parents with bills, helping out their neighbor, their friend, being good stewards of money. Like, everything is required in society to have money be a resource and a tool. And so if people have this realization where they need to start, it comes mostly because it's hit them that how important money is. And usually when that happens, it's kind of too late to make it up unless you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, right, where you can make some moves. But most people don't have that. So when they have this realization, it's kind of too late. So I'm trying to get ahead of it for people to inspire them while they're in their 20s, 30s, and at the latest in their 40s, so they can have the ability to do something to get ahead of it. It's more preventative than it is cautionary, right? To regress and say, okay, I'm ready now. When people have that realization, it's a math equation. It's kind of too late.
The relationship X-ray. You've seen many impact on marriages, families, and partnerships. What is the symbol or single most telling sign that the couple's financial dynamic is healthy or doomed?
I'll tell you right now, it's a phenomenal observation you made in question. So every time when I've told people and talked to them, and it typically comes from females, which is unfortunate. Oh, my husband does that. My husband's
Mhm.
into investing. He handles all the finances. And I'll ask, how long have they been a financial advisor? And they'll be like, no, they're a school teacher. They're a plumber. They're an engineer. I'll be like, so they don't know money. No, but they're into it. It's like, well, if they're I'm into astrophysics, but I'm not going to go to space, right? Like it's you could be interested in a lot of things, but that doesn't mean you're proficient in it. I dedicated decades to learn this as my only career, and it still took me at least 10 years to master it, right? And even then, I'm still learning to this day. There's tax laws changes, there's new restrictions, new IRS guidelines, there's new products, there's new systems, there's new portfolios, there's new ways to leverage things. Like it's an ongoing changing environment. And so for professionals, they struggle. Think about it. In of all financial advisors in the financial service industry in America, everyone who sets out to be an advisor after 3 years, 80% of people fail and quit. After 5 years, 91% fail and quit. And after 10 years, only 1% are still financial advisors. 99% of people failed because it's such a hard career. And these are people who are getting licensed and trainings and development from companies, and 99% still fail after 10 years. So when marriages say, oh, my wife does it or my husband does it, we don't know, we don't talk about money, those are the ones that are doomed, is because there's no communication. It needs to be both people on the same mindset. We want to send our kids to private school or not. We want to value vacations or not. We want to buy a house. And that's a common goal, most married people. But then it's, where do you want to live? We don't know. One wants to live here, wants to live there. One wants a condo. One wants a single family home. One wants to do an investment property. One doesn't. Just not being on the same page. And that comes from lack of communication. So if couples don't communicate about their goals, and what they each want for each other, individuals and together, it's going to be kind of doomed. And I hear it far too often where we don't talk about money. Why? Money is required for groceries, for electric bills, for internet, for medical insurance. Money is needed for everything. And so when couples say we don't talk about money, or we keep our finances separate, that to me is doomed. And I've never seen it work out in the long run when people have that belief system of, oh, it's separate. We don't talk about money.
The values versus numbers of dissonance. How often do you see a stark mismatch between someone's stated values and where the money actually goes? And what is your process
A
for
lot,
bringing that
a,
into
lo-
light?
a lot recently, especially after you look at something like private prisons, right?
Hmm.
Private prisons are in a lot of mutual funds. Okay, a lot of mutual funds own private prisons, and recently people are very socially aware of where they want to invest, right? But you look at private prisons, they typically yield about a 12 to 15% annual return. And some people say, no, I don't want that. I want an environmentally conscious fund. Those yield 4 to 6%. Right? And some people still say, no, I don't want anything to do with alcohol, tobacco, firearms, private prisons. Some people don't care because they say, I make 12 to 15% per year on these. I don't care about if it's invested in alcohol, tobacco, firearms, private prisons. So recently, as of late, a lot of people, there's a good amount of people who are really putting values based over profits, and I'm not here to judge on that, right? I'm here to support and really get them their goals. So I can find, when I was an advisor, environmentally friendly or conscious funds. It's just that they don't yield enough money. A lot of times they lose.
After the decades, you must see clear patterns. What's the most predictable financial mistake people make that they likely learn
So
from
the
their
most
parents?
that you have to get out of debt before as quick as humanly possible. We'll take school debt for example.
Hmm.
School debt is plagues American millennials and Gen Zs. Most of them that are in their 40s still have 80% or more of the debt that they had when they took out in their 20s, so 2 decades later. But the biggest mistake people make is, let me pay off my student loans, right?
Yes.
Quickly. And by doing that, they don't pay themselves first. They don't start an IRA funding their 401ks or 403bs. Oh, and they focus in and say, pay all their discretionary money to paying off student debt. And I tell them, look, if you're going to pay $500 a month to your student debt, pay 400 a month to your student debt. Put that extra 100 into an IRA or your employer sponsored 401k plan or stock account through brokerage of Robinhood, Fidelity, whoever you use, because the cost of waiting, people assume, if I wait and not put away $100 a month, that's only 1,200 a year. Okay, that's only 1,200 a year. That's $6,200 I didn't put away. But that's 5 years of waiting, is hundreds of thousands of dollars that they missed out on over the next 30 years because they didn't start their time value of money clock. The compound rate of return on those missed 5 years is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So by foregoing paying yourself first and prioritizing your pockets by paying off debt, you're making a banker get a bonus. You're helping out a company. You're decreasing their liabilities while increasing your liabilities because you did not pay yourself first. So prioritizing paying off all your discretionary money to debt is the biggest mistake people make by not also at the same time contributing to their well-being.
Have you observed a point where increasing financial success or wealth actually decrease someone's sense of security or happiness? Where is the inflection point?
I think it's in liquid savings. I think I'm a big fan of whatever your fixed expenses are. Say they are a total of $30,000 a year is what you need to pay your rent, your mortgage, your food, your car insurance, right? Tithing to church, whatever your fixed expenses are. Okay, I believe that people need to have 12 months of fixed expenses saved in their liquid bank account. You're not going to make money. You're going to lose money to inflation because you're not outperforming it. But that safety net of having 12 months of fixed expenses covered, once you have that, every dollar after needs to go to investing, whether it be crypto, because that's a hot point and it's an asset class, it's a bona fide asset class now. If it's real estate, if it's precious metals, if it's a bona fide retirement account from your employer, like a 401k, 403b, or an IRA, right? Whatever investing you want to do that's methodical and calculated, after your 12 months fixed expenses, every extra discretionary dollar needs to go to investing. And once you accomplish that threshold, you kind of feel empowered because, whew, I got 12 months saved. I can actually invest now, and I'm not gonna, oh my God, I need that money. I gotta pay my light bill. So I think that old school mentality of liquid savings of 12 months saved will allow you to have breakthroughs in investing because you don't need the money that you have. You can invest it.
Mr. Jones, the rich persona. What's the common behavior or insecurity you see in high net worth individuals that would surprise people who assume money solves all anxiety?
Well, the biggest fear of them is not being able to maintain their current standard of living. See, the most precious thing is not asset classes, it's cash flow. Because once you have an extraordinary life, going backwards is scary. So they're not so focused on making more money, they just don't want to lose what they have because they have a taste of the good life. They know what it is. And so they're more concerned with proper asset allocation. Tax now, tax later, tax never. Money diversification, money in precious metals, S&P 500, mid cap, small cap, large cap, international equities, liquid cash, crypto. Most people with a lot of money didn't like crypto, but now they carved out 1 to 5% of their portfolio because they don't want to miss out on that asset class. If it doesn't go anywhere, it's only exposed to 1 to 5%. But their biggest fear is going backwards in life. So they got to make sure that they don't lose their money. So they're actually more conservative. Once you get to having a large amount of money and assets, you actually play it safer to make sure you don't lose. As long as you're outperforming inflation and not losing money, that's the priority.
The conversation that changes everything. Is there a specific question you've learned to ask that cuts through the noise and gets to the core of what someone truly wants from their money?
Yes, yes, it is. It's we're all on our own journeys, right? Everyone's values are different. Everyone's goals are different. So identifying the goals that you want for your life are the most important thing, and creating a strategic plan to attain that. And what people need to realize is it doesn't happen overnight. It took me 15 years of diligent savings and investing to really get to where I'm at today. And along that line, I could have given up every time because it happens slow. And if you look at it, right, it's just math. I love what's called the rule of 72. The rule of 72 is something you can do on your calculator, and it does two things. It shows you how long your money is going to take to double, and it shows you how long your money loses it takes to lose half its value. So if you take 72 and put it in a calculator, and I'm doing it right now, and say if you get
Mhm.
9% return, you divide it by 9, that's 8 years. So every 8 years, your money's doubling. So if you have $100,000 and you get an 8%, a 9% return. The next year you have 109 grand. You're like, okay, well, I made 9 grand. Okay, well, it's 9 grand, right? But then the following year, you get 9% on 109,000. Okay. And then the next year, 9% on the accumulated value. But 8 years in the future, your 100 grand is now 200 grand. And then 8 more years, it's 400 grand. And then 8 more years, it's 800. And then after that next 8 years, it's 1.6 million. So in four doubles, you went from 100 grand to 1.6 million. And that is 32 years. So if someone's 20 years old, they can have those four doubles because they're now 50 years old, 52 years old. But if someone's 50, maybe they get one double or two doubles. So really, just starting young is the only way that you could turn a small amount of money into a large amount of money.
Yes, people, compound interest, the blind spot of a self made. For successful entrepreneurs and business owners who are adept at making money, what is the most dangerous blind spot when it comes to managing and keeping it?
The most dangerous thing is the willingness, the not having willingness to take in perspective. The most successful people I've ever met never say these words. I'm all good. I'm okay.
Mm.
I have things. They say, hey, take a look and give me a review. What's some insight? Give me some perspective. What are some new strategies? What are some new investments? What are changes in the tax law? They want perspective, whether they do implement it or not. They're always willing to hear perspective and a second opinion. Unsuccessful people or people who haven't had the life they want, they always say, I'm good. I don't need anything. I read, I do my own investing. I'm fine. And whether people use a financial advisor or not is not the thing in question. It's the willingness to hear perspective, take it in, analyze it, accept or reject. And at least that way you could say, I looked at all angles and I took perspective and I decided I'm all good. But the not willing to hear perspective is the root cause of all people who never get ahead. I've never met a wealthy person who does not take perspective.
Money and mortality. How do conversations about money fundamentally change when they are forced to intersect with a conversation about death, illness, or legacy?
The Dalai Lama said it best. Human beings are very interesting. They will sacrifice relationships, health, friendships for money, and then when they have money, they give up all their money to repair relationships, health, and friendships. Right. So
True.
it's very funny because when you look at it, look at life insurance. People who have life insurance
Mm.
are 99% less likely to die prematurely. And call it putting out to the universe, calling it positive affirmations, whatever you call it, they are conscious of their mortality. And they're so conscious that they get millions of dollars of insurance that if they die, they want their families taken care of. So people who are conscious of their mortality typically do not die prematurely. Sure, there's random accidents like car accidents and whatnot, right? But arguably, those percentages are way lower also because they're not doing things. They're not driving drunk. They're not speeding excessively. They're actually conscious of their mortality. It's kind of like I drive Porsches, right? I race. It's one of my hobbies, and there's a proximity infatuation. You'll watch YouTube videos and you'll see people driving in a field, right, wide open field, and all of a sudden they lose control and they hit a telephone pole, and that happens because they were in target fixation. They looked, oh, I don't want to hit the telephone pole. Oh my God, there's a pole. Boom. And they crash into the pole. Where you look, you go. That's in racing, that's in motorcycles, in cars, and it's in life. If you're focused in on entrepreneurship, on reading, on investing, on health conscious, of mortality. I don't want to die premature. My family's depending on me. Odds are nothing bad's going to happen to you. And so it's really where you focus your target fixation, my budget, my retirement plan, fun with the family, taking care of my family, my health, my spirituality, reading my religious books, right? No matter what religion you are, if you're focused on your targets, you're going to hit them. Doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight, but you will get there eventually. It's when people lose sights of their target or never had plans or a target, they hit it with amazing accuracy.
Mindset. People mindset. The
It's
wisdom of
and I
age.
ne- I didn't want to believe it. I want to believe no, hard work will get me there. No, this will do there. I'm a good person. I give money to charity and to church and care about people. It's gonna happen on its own. No, it doesn't. Mindset.
Mhm. The wisdom of age, Mr. John. What is the profound counterintuitive truth about money that your oldest clients consistently understand that your younger clients struggle to accept?
Budgeting. Spend less than you make, save and invest the difference. That is the
Mhm.
core principle of what our grandparents, right, and what our great grandparents knew. People who lived through a great war, a great depression, right? Like we're the first generation in history, millennials and Gen Zs, that have access to things at every turn. We have sponsored ads coming in our emails. We have subscription services. Our parents and grandparents didn't have credit cards. They didn't have
Yes.
$7 coffees at Starbucks, right? They didn't have $20 hamburgers, right? They didn't have access to go and spend money like we do. They didn't have water bottles, right? They didn't have these temptations. And so we have unlimited things thrown at us to spend money and credit cards and feeling bad because of social media where other people have these things. There's businesses now, Daniel, that you can rent a private jet for $100 an hour to take pictures in there for your social media to make it look like you're flying a private jet, right? That people rent watches to make it look like you have money. 5, 10 friends are living in a 2 bedroom apartment and they all pitch in to buy a Lamborghini so each one of them can do it on their social media feeds to make it look like they own or are successful. Course sellers selling courses to how to sell a course. Take my course. I've never done anything, but I'm going to teach you how to sell courses. Like we live in a time of things that are non-genuine. And I think that people who value that, let them value that. Get them out of your life. This is a path, my book, for hardworking, good human beings that care about their family, their friends, and their community, that work a job, that want to take care of their family, have good lives, and take their lives to the next level. That is only done by high value human beings that respect and honor people, that aren't trying to screw people over and get rich quick. If people value that, that's totally fine. That's not what this is written for. This is written for good human beings that want to do things the right way and work hard and just need some guidance of what to do.
The cause of silence. What is the most damaging financial situation you've seen that was primarily caused by simple, years long refusal to have an honest conversation, just like what we are doing right now?
The realization that everybody has, and I've been fortunate to work with people who are way older than me, and I'll say this again, I've made others hindsight my foresight. Every time I've sat down with somebody that is at towards the end of their life, they sit back and say, "What am I leaving behind to my family, to my community? What am I going to be remembered by? Oh, I wish I had done more. Why didn't I save more? I could have done it." I've never once heard anybody say, "Why did I open up that extra IRA? I'm leaving behind extra money to my grandkids, to my church, to my charity, to my community. Why did I save so much? I have so much money and time and resources. I never should have done that." No one ever says that. Everyone says, "My time on planet Earth, I could have done more for the people I cared about or my community. I should have done more." Everyone has that realization. And it's unfortunate that it happens to most people when they can do nothing about it and that they're at the end of their life. And I try to learn from that and operate every day as a blessing and a gift and try to make the most out of it and really maximize my time with my friends, my family, community, with strangers. And that's again why I wrote this. I wrote this to maybe hopefully give people that sledgehammer that they need to say, "I can do this. I'm going to do this. The time is now."
Academics talk about investor behavior gap. In your experience, what is the root emotional cause? Fear, greed, ego that the most often cause smart people to make dumb money moves.
Daniel, you got some great questions, man. It's behavioral finance, it's psychology. Here's the number one people that struggle: highly educated.
Hmm.
Highly educated people are the ones who struggle the most with this because their degrees, their education, their dedication to those are amazing. But the problem is that they say, I'm smart. I can figure this out. I'm smarter than other people. I can read. I know what to do. And by that mistake, that is not their field of financial services, they're not going to know how to interpret the data. They're not. And they're going to just rest on their laurels and assume that I'm doing it right. Happens all the time. I look at people's 401ks and they'll allocate it and I'll be like, they're like, I got 7%. I'm like, okay, but the average in the last 5 years, the S&P 500 has done 100%. You've you've grown 30% and you're thinking that's winning because you have 30% growth. I look at it as losing 70%, because if you just kept up with the benchmark and threw your money the S&P 500, it would have done that. But people think that I'm smarter than the system. I know what to do. So the overly educated, which is amazing. I'm not down talking it, but when it comes to money, they're I don't want to call it ego because it's not ego. Their intelligence, excuse me, their intelligence is what hurts them. I'll give an example, Daniel. When COVID hit, every sign was pointing to this is bad. The economy, the world is in a pandemic, right? Who knows what could happen? I'm not going to buy a house right now. I'm not going to invest in the stock market because it's going to get bad. That simple mistake, by using your brain because you followed all forms of logic, it's scary. What's going to happen? I'm not going to buy a house. Everything has skyrocketed in value since COVID. And the people who said, well, I'm just going to buy, I'm going to throw my money in the market. I'm just crypto. I don't know about it. I heard it's on the dark web and this. Let me just buy it. The people who didn't think and who did not use their brains missed out. But very intelligent people talk themselves out of buying a house, investing in the stock market, buying crypto, because they're intelligent. And we live in a time where you can talk yourself out of anything. If you look at buying a house, the math is horrible. You buy a house for 500 grand, you're going to pay 500,000 in interest. That's $1 million, not including remodel, upkeep, property tax, maintenance. On a $500,000 house over 30 years, you're at least $1.3 million in. That math is horrible. But if you don't know depreciation, asset accumulation, inflation, that $3,000 a month mortgage you pay today that maybe feel like a stretch, in 10 years you're going to be like, that's nothing because of inflation. There's so many other factors to things that the uninitiated will not understand. But in their defense, most financial advisors don't give it to people straight because they don't know. Again, I wrote this because I have so much knowledge that I want to give to people for them to just get the perspective, internalize it. And I talk a lot about real estate in here because and again, I know there's different things around the world, but the American dream is to own a house. It's more like an American trap.
American draw for sure. People often think they need a new financial product. How do you discern when they actually need is a change in financial behavior?
I think everybody, and again, I don't know around the world how it works, but in America, there's employer benefits. And to me, the 401k is the greatest asset class for 99% of people in America. Because, and no financial advisor is going to tell people this. You know why, Daniel?
Yes.
We don't get
What?
paid. We only get paid on products that we sell them. Employer benefit accounts are for the employees, for the people. It is the greatest asset class for 99% of people in America. And unfortunately, most people don't take advantage of it. There's people who sell products that say, oh, 401ks are bad. Oh, you'll have to pay tax on that later. Oh, you don't want that, but buy my course to learn how to buy multifamily real estate, right? People don't get paid if people invest in their 401ks. And that's why, unfortunately, most financial advisors don't tell clients to take full advantage of their 401ks. It is the greatest asset. That one thing will make everybody's life perfect as far as from age 60 to the day they die. One thing. If I can have everybody do one thing, it's get a large term life insurance policy that if you happen to pass away, your family's taken care of for generations, and a 401k. If people just have that, they're going to be fine.
So, Mr. John, beyond the numbers, what can you learn about person's life story, priorities, and pains just by looking the 6 months of the bank and credit card statements?
I can tell you that if they're going to have chronic stress, a
Mm-hmm.
strain on their marriage or their relationship, if they are going to have victim mentality, you see, money is about freedom. Okay, having money gives you a sense of relief. Okay, and I'm not talking millions and millions of dollars. I'm talking about not having to stress about paying your electric bill. Okay, having a plan. And so if you look at things, and I'm not trying to be cruel here, okay, but most successful people when it comes to money are physically in shape. They're not out of shape horribly, right? They actually care because money is diligence and commitment and consistency, much like being in physical shape. Think about it. In theory, it's easy, right? You just work out more and eat less. Well, then
Mm-hmm.
why is there an obesity epidemic in America? It's easy. Just eat less and work out more. The actual practice of it is very challenging. And so money's the same thing. But if you look at someone who's not good with money, they're probably not going to be good with every other aspect of their life. And I understand I'm not talking about the 5% of people who are hypoactive thyroids or have medical issues. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about able bodied human beings who are just not going to do it because they choose not to, which what some people would call being lazy. And so looking at someone's finances, I can tell you if they're dedicated, if they're diligent, and if they're consistent. Because again, it's budget. Here's what you make your cost of living less, save the difference. And I understand there's situations where people are struggling, right? But in my experience, especially for millennials and Gen Zs, the people who are struggling have 10 pairs of blue jeans. They have 10 pairs of tennis shoes that are Air Jordans. They are going out to eat and paying for lunch every day, not bringing their lunch, right? They have Starbucks or designer coffees and artisanal ice creams from the local creamery, right? The people who are struggling, in my experience, have all of these things. And so it bears the question of how could you struggle with 10 pairs of blue jeans? How can you struggle with designer handbags? Like, if you were really struggling, you wouldn't have those luxuries.
You sit in a position of immense trust. What are the non negotiable elements beyond competence that you found are essential for building the depth of trust with the client?
What I've found is I allow people to accept or reject me. Okay. I'm going to be honest and upfront with people and tell them, look, this is how it is. If you want someone that's going to play to your emotions and sugarcoat things and tell you it's going to be okay, it's not me. And so, if you want an advisor who's going to tell you the truth and let you accept or reject it, I am your person. I'll never lie to you. I'll never BS you. I'll never sell you something because I'm going to make money on it. I don't believe in that. And if you want someone that's going to be more compassionate and tell you it's all going to work out, you're better off not working with me, because I feel that people can handle the truth. And if they want to accept it or reject it, that's fine. I'm never going to lie to someone. I've lost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, because I've told people, you don't need me. Just overfund your 401k. Let's reallocate it into the S&P 500 index. You sit back and do nothing. I won't make money. You'll make money. And if you want to do more later, come back to me. And they've always asked me, no one has ever told me that. Why? I'm like, because I just invested 2 hours with you and I get paid nothing. But it's never been about that for me. It's about giving people the truth and helping them. And again, that is done through employer benefits and IRAs. That is what everyone needs, but they're not getting that advice.
What has been a single most impactful professional mistake or misjudgment with a client, and what did you teach you about the human side of this work?
So the the number one mistake that people make is telling themselves that they're going to own a house. You give me you give me 1,000 millennial Gen Zs, 999 of them, their number one goal is to buy a house.
Yes.
And I'm all about buying a house, but here's the problem. I asked them, how much have you been pre-approved for? I don't know. I'm like, so if you want to buy a house in the next 5 years, you should get pre-approved today. So that way you know what you're aiming at. Because getting a loan from a bank has changed a lot since the Great Recession with Dodd-Frank. Getting a loan from a bank is very difficult, right? Our parents and our grandparents, like my dad was a construction worker in Los Angeles on a construction worker's income with 5 boys and a stay-at-home wife, my mom. He always owned a house. His mortgage payment was $600 a month. So if I was uneducated in this, I'd be like, well, I'm going to make money in real estate because my dad did. My dad always bought a house. The house I grew up in, my dad paid 60 grand for. Right now, it's worth $1.5 million. The house my grandpa bought, he fought in the Korean War. And when he came back, he worked on a mattress factory in Pasadena, California. That was a minimum wage job. He bought his house for $3,000. Today, that house is worth $1.8 million. You need to have $600,000 of household income to buy that house today. My grandpa bought it working on an assembly line in a mattress factory. And so the rules in the game has changed. But if people think that they're going to do what their grandparents or their parents did in real estate, it's not going to happen. And so I tell them, go get pre-approved, see what a bank will give you, because then when you see it, you realize, how can I buy the house I want when a bank's only going to give me this? But then we have time. We can make a strategy. We can save. How much do you have for your down payment? I don't have one, but you need one. Let's make an account that's just for your down payment. Let's get 5% of your paycheck from direct deposit and put it into that liquid savings account for your down payment. So when you have enough money, then you use that for your house. And now you know how much house you can get, how much down payment you need. Now, do you want kids? I haven't thought about it. Well, what school district? Well, do you want your kids to be in a bad school district, good school district? Well, I want kids. Okay, then maybe we should look at your first house and not in a bad school district neighborhood, but in a good school district. So then that way you don't have to send your kids to private school. See, whether they do or not, it's irrelevant, Daniel. It's just, let's put down and check the boxes. What's the vision? What's the plan? What's the strategy? What's the goal? And then when we know those things, then we can articulate and have a written plan and go after it. There needs to be a vacation fund, help mom and dad fund, help siblings, help spouse, a luxury fund. I want to buy a dream car, my down payment fund. Everything needs to be broken down, and you can use direct deposit and fund each thing. It doesn't matter if you're putting 1% of your income into each thing. Get started on your goals by funding them. And in time, you can always scale up. I'm going to add 2%. I'm going to add 3 more percent. I got a bonus. I'm going to add an extra $100 or 100,000 or 10,000 or 1,000. But if you don't start your baseline, you can't build on the foundation. The financial wellness, Daniel, needs to be like a house: foundation, walls, and roof. And everything on the foundational strategy is where I focus on in my book. But here's the thing: why no financial advisor can focus on that is because there's no money for the companies and there's no money for the advisors. That's why they just tell you the roof stuff, right? Or maybe the walls. They don't tell you the foundation, because the foundation is for the people. The everything else is for the companies and for the advisors' income. This is for the foundation, and no one teaches that because there's no money in it for the companies and no money in it for the advisors.
Mr. Gunn, despite the 2 decades of evidence, what is the one piece of common sense financial advice that people must resist acting upon, and why do you think that is?
Get rich quick. There ain't no thing, right? There's and if there is, it's luck. Okay. I want to be lucky. I still buy a lotto ticket, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? And so people need to realize that luck is luck. Okay. And what everyone needs to do is they need to just do bare basic planning. It's slow, it takes time, but it will happen in time. I look at I look at this stuff, this foundation stuff, as it's all going to work out down the road from age 60 and on. Maybe you become a famous author, an actor, you start a business, you become an entrepreneur. If that works out, you can give away all this money, right? But if your hustle didn't work out, like it doesn't for most, at least from age 60 to the day you die, you can have a good life. Because that's when money matters, Daniel, is when you don't have a job and you could sit back and you can think about and reflect on, why did I not do this? I worked my whole life. I can't take my grandkids to Disneyland. I can't grab lunch with my friends. I can't donate to charity or do mission work with my church or whatever it is, or my dream car. I told myself I'd have it. That's when it kicks in, and that's resentment. And you start looking back, and that causes depression. That causes arguments with your spouse. It causes divorce, because you sit back and blame everything that you hold dear, that life didn't work out for you. But it's only because you didn't plan for the worst and expect the best.
Very well said. Mr. John, you need an applause for that. Very well said. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 in third season, and Food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 our fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in third season, and My Baby Podcast, Trivia 101, Law 101, and Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. John, if you could broadcast one core human lesson about the relationship between money and life satisfaction to everyone, what would it be?
You got to think of you and your family, what it is you want for you and your family, and make that your, in Latin it's called a sine qua non. It means without which not. That's the foundation. Everything needs to go for your life, what you want, and go and get it. Everyone can do it. You can do it. Maybe you've been dealt a bad hand. You're not born rich. It's okay. 95% of the world is not born rich. Let's just do it together, and it can be done.
And it can be done, not born rich, the guide to financial literacy. Yes, so, Mr. John, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, advocacy, or whatever project that you're doing right now?
Yep, this is the one. My social handle is JDR, my initials, JDR Profit for the People. I just started it in January. I'm trying to get this movement going. So as much support, and please review my book. That helps me the most if you review it on Amazon. Soon to be Barnes and Noble.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. John B. Romero, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come. More and more empowering advocacy will rise. So, Mr. John, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Take care, everybody.
Welcome, people. See you soon.